Hello and welcome back to the Poultry Network podcast. My name is Tom Willings. I'd normally introduce Tom Woolman at this point, but joined instead by Jake Davies, Editor-in-Chief, the man behind the microphone. Jake, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, just sort of recovering from a night of partying at the British Free Range Egg Producers exhibition in the day, and then the awards in the evening.
Are you jaded? You were looking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as I saw you go past my trade stand, the egg base trade stand. I have to say I didn't move from the spot all day. It was incredibly busy, but you looked on chipper form.
Yeah,
What
no,
happened?
I was buzzing around all day. So I certainly got my steps in before the dinner, and then the thing with these awards dues is they, quite rightly go on till fairly late, and you want to get out and see people and have a beer with people, but that doesn't really start properly till about 11 o'clock. So it's inevitably quite a late one, but fantastic event. I mean, we could probably start by talking about the day, and it just seems to get bigger and bigger, I think, is the, you know.
Yeah, I'd love to pay a kind of wholehearted compliment to my friend Keith and to my friend Gary as well, and anybody involved with the organisation at Bfrepa or involved with the conference as a standalone piece of work. I thought, to be honest, it's the best one I've attended. I know I just said I didn't get around, but I saw enough to see that it was absolutely jam packed in terms of the footfall. And contrary to many years, there seemed to be an awful lot of farmers there, and that's fantastic. I thought the number of trade stands that look really polished and really professional speaks to a degree of investment that surpasses previous years, and that's got to be a great thing for the industry at large. And then, specific for me, I was stood, as I said, on the egg base stand in our what now feels like a familiar spot just outside the conference hall, and every 20 minutes or so, another heavy hitter sort of burst through the curtains, having completed their set, off to another high-flying meeting somewhere. So whether it's kind of members of the shadow cabinet or it's leaders of big business, or it's the DEFRA hierarchy, or devolved equivalents, there were an awful lot of recognisable people who had felt that the conference was sufficiently important that it had to be in their day. And I think that's a huge compliment, as I say, to Keith and to Gary and the organising committee. So for me, chapeau, well done.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I mean, I know you're the egg based man at events like this, but I spent all day going around every stand, and like you say, they get bigger and bigger, more and more sort of dynamic and interactive. There was a couple of companies with ginormous automated gates at the bottom end, which is interesting. Intermax had Hawkstone beer on, which was, towards the end of the day, much appreciated. There was a ginormous greenhouse next to you. I mean, that was...
Yeah, I saw that. I did wonder what was going on in the Pan Bonis trade stand. Dr. Joe enjoying himself in his greenhouse. Fair play.
Indeed, yeah. And then, of course, the award due, which you didn't make it to, but I was very much there, enjoying myself. And some brilliant. I've got Keith sent over the list of winners as well. So, I mean, sort of maybe perhaps the last one. We'll give the last one first. British Egg Association gave a big nod to James Baxter for his tenure as chairman of Bfrepa is getting longer. It must be, I think, around 10 years, they said.
Yeah, I was going to say a decade, which my mind boggles because that decade has absolutely flown. I don't know whether I'm just getting old or time has sped up for everybody. But I still I'm of an era of John Retson or Tom Veazey before that, and Miles Thomas, of course. But these people feel like they were only yesterday. So for a decade to have gone by. And I bet you that's not a light cross to bear either for James. I'm sure running his own business, running his own farm. He's got a big family, of course, but that'll take some doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, so it's moving to the Bfrepa Awards. I should say Miles Jupp was really funny as well. He really appeals to me as a sort of slightly posh middle class person. I think that's my type of humour. But yeah. Chippendales did very well. I mean, they probably won the most awards. They won the marketing initiative for the proper good Yorkshire eggs. They won the national award for their Chuckle Eggs, and they won best trade stand as well. So,
Well, I'm going to throw Stonegate in there. You would expect me to say that as well. Yeah, I'm very fond of my friends at Stonegate still, and yeah, from my eye, looking down the list of winners, it seemed to be either Stonegate first or Stonegate first and second.
yeah,
So yeah, it's and Noble in there as well. It's let's make sure we're rounded. There are plenty of winners from across the park, but as you say, Chips, Noble, Stonegate did appear to clear up. Congratulations, I think we should say, to everybody shortlisted, but especially to the winners in the relevant categories. So. Yeah,
yeah,
and can I say also to Martin Troop, this I don't think we've ever used as many individuals' names on a podcast. It feels as though we are, sailing close to the wind. But I'm pretty confident I'm on safe ground here, where I say that on behalf of the whole industry, Martin Troop is a properly good egg. And to see him win a Lifetime Achievement Award, I only wish I'd been there to shake him by the hand, knowing that he had won. I look forward to the next time I bump into Martin. But
well, of course,
Martin,
yeah,
congratulations!
indeed, lauded on the egg side, and also chairman of the British Poultry Council. I think it's been recently.
Absolutely.
So yeah, sitting across both sectors and doing done a fantastic job for both sides. So yeah, I mean, fantastic. I mean, we'll cap it there and leave the rest of the night. Suffice to say, it was a late one.
Well, it's taken care of Woolman.
Yes.
Tom's either not made it out of Telford, or he's now struggling to count to 10 in the sheep pen. But I'm sure we'll catch up with him next week.
I'm sure he'll be around. I mean, one of the speakers has kindly agreed to come on the podcast, Angela from Robo Scientific. So hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be hearing about what those guys are doing with. Remind me, Tom, VOCs.
Is it volatile organic compounds? I struggle to say it. Real-time monitoring of poultry flocks is what I understand it to be all about. But that is, the start and the end of my understanding at this point. So I've got a bit of homework to do before we get Angie on the podcast. But look forward to meeting her.
Yeah.
You've just touched on in your reference to BPC and egg industry and a crossover, something that broke just last week and was a bit of a talk at the conference, and that's the hatchery standards change. I'm not sure how much of the detail you've picked up of this to date, but and I guess by the time that this podcast goes out, it may already be old news, but there's certainly a little storm in a teacup brewing all over again in respect to the RSPCA's revisions to standards. 2023, it was all about laying hens, and that feels as though it's actually not yet a book closed. It's still ongoing discussions around natural daylight particularly, but yeah, hatchery standards affecting both meat and egg sectors, announced on the 17th of November to take effect from the 16th of February, 3 months. Let's hope the hatcheries knew something about what the standards were going to be, because they haven't got very long over Christmas to get them all shipshape. Sadly, from the people that I've spoken to date, and I'm certainly far from availed of all the facts, I haven't found anybody that was consulted before the standards were published. It's extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, it echoes the introduction of the laying hen standards, and I mean, it's not for me to say how to run things, but a more collaborative approach would seem more appropriate to me when you're sort of creating standards that the sector has to follow. But I suppose you play not devil's advocate, but see the other side, and I guess they want things to be a certain way, and it could create, I suppose, confusion or mess by being more consultative. I don't know. It's a hard one to get your head around, really. Like you say, you speak to people in the sector and they kind of go, right, well, we've been sort of told this in the same way, almost at the same time. They send a press release out to me, so I get a list of things. I read through it and I think, well, I don't understand half the stuff don't quite understand what they're getting at here. What are they talking about? when it comes to, I mean, one of the things was viable chicks. There's no huge clarity over that, and it feels it could have all been spelt out a bit more.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and if I'm
I,
saying as a layman, and the people working in hatcheries are making similar comments,
yeah.
yeah,
Lovely as it is to have you on this episode, I think when Tom is back with his meat sector and hatchery expertise, it would be good to discuss it with him, and then hopefully a kind of a third party contributor that can also come on and shine a bit of light to it. But if I look at it from my predominantly egg perspective on the world, I'm not sure operationally that there is very much in the new standard that is going to dramatically change things. I don't see it being a particular problem, but I go back to the lack of consultation. Had there been something in there that did threaten continuity of certification or approval, then to me, the consultation is that much more important. There are only 2, maybe 3 hatcheries producing eggs for the assured supply chain of chicks for the assured supply chain in our sector. And if you've got to have that chain of custody in order to have finished product available on the supermarket shelf with the RSPCA assured logo, I'd say it's pretty important to make sure that the foundation level is is secure and is squared away. It's one thing having a couple of thousand farms who may or may not fall foul of a failure to comply. I also feel that they too deserved, past tense, deserved appropriate consultation. But you could understand that from a corporate risk point of view, commercially, a few of those not passing muster does not threaten the overall availability of product to the consumer. But you take a hatchery out of the mix, and there's a massive interruption for Rore, and every single business is potentially affected by that. That can't be lost on the assurance scheme administration, and therefore my head goes to a place where I think, well, what's the motive then of operating in this way? Because there's form as well, of course. We've mentioned 2023 that the laying farm standards was a not dissimilar process of rattle the saber, make a lot of noise about, or rather not, just quietly launch new standards, and then start the conversation. And that doesn't feel like the most constructive way about doing anything, and I just wonder why that's the chosen approach.
we will have
Strange.
to. Well, we'll have to ask them on the podcast. I think that's the answer. I mean, they were kind enough to come on.
Again,
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
well, it could be the first repeat. Well, that would be fantastic. Anyone from the RSPCA assured that is available to come and talk to us about the not so much the standards themselves, but the methodology about their introduction. Please get in touch, and we'd love to talk about it.
We should definitely do that.
The other point I want to just make on it, if you haven't read it, if you're sat there spitting out of your cornflakes because I'm told, Jake, well, I was told yesterday that a lot of people that listen to this do so on a Friday morning when the email lands on their breakfast table in their email feed. So yeah, if your cornflakes have gone everywhere at this point, just make sure you swallow before I say this next bit. The thing that really concerned me about the change in the standards is not what's due by the middle of February next year. It's all of the markers laid down for a variety of different topics that the RSPCA is saying that they are currently reviewing, and that they'll come forward with standards in due course. But in the meantime, if you as a business are considering an investment or doing your own research in these particular areas, then please bring it to the RSPCA such that we can either advise you or probably you can advise us. And those things cover, I mean, again, extraordinary. Those things include things like the use of artificial intelligence, not to mention the very obvious stuff to do with in ovo sexing or in ovo vaccination, or what else was on there? There's a litany of things that maybe that's why the consultation is the way it is, because they were so busy sort of creating this web of other things that were going to change the world that they forgot to pick up the phone and say, look, it's about time. Since 2017, the last time it was revised, it's about time that we issued some new standards. I don't know, but yeah,
Who knows?
that's enough from me on that. I've gone far too far. Yeah, I'll come back to you.
Onto the soapbox. Well, I think
Yeah.
one of the things that struck me was it was nice walking around the trade stands and things, and people seem to be picking up the podcast and listening to episodes. I'd point to. I'm trying to think in my brain chronologically what happened. I think it's last week's episode. Probably yes, it's women in poultry production. So we had Emily and Kelly on. It was a really nice episode. Aaron's was very popular a couple of weeks ago. Aaron McKenna at Pilgrims Europe now was Moy Park.
Yeah, I was going to say you nearly said Moy Park.
I nearly did. Well, I did, and then yeah. But no, again, it's we will certainly ask RSPCA if they don't volunteer themselves forward to come and talk about the hatchery standards, potentially the Poultry Hatcheries Association as well. And just to repeat, it's an open invitation. This podcast, this is for the poultry sector. So if you have something to say, come on and say it. I mean, one of the things we're doing, which will be next Thursday, is the Southwest Chicken Association's dinner. So there is a chance if you're there, you can bid for that, bid for a guest editorship of the podcast. So please do that if you want to sort of set the direction of an episode. It should be good fun. But yeah, I think probably a good point to wrap up, Tom.
Sounds good.
Well, yeah, thanks for covering everything as usual.
No, Jake, thanks for stepping in. Tom, where are you? And to everybody else listening, thank you for tuning in once again. We'll be back next week.
Cheers.